Hey everybody, welcome back to CI7 Round 1 content here in the main event. This is a match that I did not catch live. I was too lazy to get my fat ass up at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. Couldn't do it, so they didn't wait for me, nor should they have. And by the time I woke up, which, I mean, insult to injury, was like 9:20. If I was going to not catch it live, I should have slept in till like 11. But by the time I woke up, they were basically already done, so didn't get to catch it live, gonna do the replays here, and have not seen these games at all. Going in totally blind and looking forward to seeing it play out. Real quick, guys, if you've been enjoying the tour and think you're going to continue to enjoy the tour, please consider donating and showing your support. It's via a PayPal donation link in my Discord server. Totally secure, totally safe, anonymous if you want it to be, credited if you want it to be, either or. And all the money, other than a very small chunk that PayPal takes, goes straight to the players. I'm not keeping any of it. You are directly supporting the tournament. So please consider doing that if you have the means and the interest. So, Caloom, a kinda sorta play-ins player, did lose in play-ins, but then with an unfortunate, unexpected dropout post-play-ins pre-main event by Marco P, we had to fill a slot. You guys saw how that played out. It was Caloom working his way up, having to beat both Leo and Sprinkles in order to make his way into the main event, but he managed to do that. He is a British player, for those unfamiliar, been around a few years, kind of on and off with activity, little ladder, little tour. Hasn't been around as long and doesn't play as much as some of the other people in this tour, but is not a new person by any means, and certainly is known and has a presence within the community, and has some reasonable results in recent times. Tricking, on the other hand, total opposite. Everybody knows him. Italian player, been around a long time. I guess a generalist, but largely known for his fairy gens and his ridiculous official tournament record in a couple of those specific fairy gens, where he's gone on huge stretches over a year, pushing 2 years, what have you, without taking an official tournament loss, and that is not from lack of playing. Also a 2-time in a row SPL winning manager as well. So, this is a pairing, not that the predictions have meant anything so far, where you guys believe that Tricking is going to take it down, which makes sense since you're against a kind of sort of play-ins player here. But like I said, the predictions have meant nothing so far. We'll see if the curse of being predicted to win continues. It's super duper been a thing up to this point. Here's game 1 in their round 1 best of 3. So Caloom is on the bottom as Caloom, makes sense. Cruciani, that's Tricking, is on the top. Suicune lead against Zapdos. Obviously Zapdos with the advantage there. And does not go for Thunderbolt, just goes for Toxic. Nice generic thing to catch whatever comes in on the switch. That happens to be a Celebi, which also eats a Drill Peck here. And yes, Leech Seed does land, but obviously Zapdos getting the better end of this exchange at the moment, though he doesn't want a Baton Pass out anymore because he would take the Leech Seed with him. It's going to be Skarm instead, and here comes Jirachi, looking like perhaps a CM spammy kind of team, a special offense for Caloom. And that is a lucky para, full para, preventing a spike. Typically, these kinds of teams do not run rapid spinners and would be stuck dealing with any spikes that manage to get down. But Caloom, perhaps anticipating a protect or a switch, does not Thunderbolt again and opts for a Calm Mind on the switch. Gonna follow it up with an Ice Punch on the incoming Celebi. 42% is a lot. But Leech Seed is going to get some back, as does Lefties. There was no sand at the time, but now there is, as T-Tar comes in for Tricking for the first time. And between the threat of EQ and the fact that Leech Seed is still there, Jirachi is not going to be able to stay in. Out it goes, and we are back to our lead matchup of Zapdos on Suicune. Things haven't really changed. Zapdos still wins this matchup, and out we go. But if there was any doubt, we do get a speed check, and we confirm, yes, indeed, the Zapdos is faster than the Suicune, says the sand. So there is a Rapid Spinner on Caloom's team, which is, like I said, not always the case when you have a very CM spammy squad, but he does have one this time, and we don't know if there's a spinner or not for Tricking. They both do have hidden pokes. Here comes one of those previously hidden pokes. Porygon 2 coming in, copying Sandstream, which who cares. And it's going to be a status move on the switch. Makes sense. Could have hit the T-Tar with that. but is going to blank on the already paralyzed Skyrim instead. He could Thunderbolt it here, or he could predict and go for a status move again. Does go straight for the Bolt, and another full para on presumably a Spikes turn. I guess it could have been Toxic, would have been good there, but he probably just clicked Spikes, but 2 times out of 2, full para, preventing him from doing so. And here's a good switch for Caloom, getting Moltres, previously unrevealed, in on the predicted Celebi. Obviously, he threatens that. Can he Will-O-Wisp on the switch? It would be really good. Yep, that is going to nail the Mence. Hopefully, for tricking's sake, that's a mixed Mence rather than something like a DD or a CB. Well, we could rule out CB because it shows lefties. And it is a mixed Mence. It goes for Dragon Claw, so it's not completely useless, but it still definitely doesn't like being burnt. Sunny Day comes down, removing sand for a moment, but it gets reestablished as T-Tar comes back in. And a good Will-O-Wisp there as well. Right play, wrong result, 75-25. Gonna miss a lot of the time. This is one of those times. Not Pursuitar as he switches out safely. And here comes Mence coming back. It is the lead Suicune again for Caloom, which really hasn't done much of anything up to this point. Here comes Celebi now. And finally the Coon is going to stay in. This time it is just CM, which, yeah, that's literally the first move that he's used the whole time, even though he's been in repeatedly. And he's going to be deterred by the Celebi. Out of the way he goes. And Caloom gets his own Celebi in on Leech Seed, which is, of course, something it's immune to. Good opportunity here to recover. Here comes Skarm. Instead, he doubles back to Moltres. That works out as well. This is going to do damage again. It's a prediction game. You want to wow if you think Tara's coming in. You want to flamethrower if you think he's going to stay. Here comes Salamence. And he just goes for Sunny Day. Fair enough. No more sand. Moltres gains proper lefties. Maybe it has Morning Sun. Very least, its fire moves are going to get better with the sun going on. It's going to be an over-prediction Will-O-Wisp this time. Gonna obviously miss on the Mence. And then he's going to get Dragon Claw in exchange. Morning Sun, which is going to be super-duper boosted because of the sun. And yeah, he's content to do this. I mean, the sun is not going to be forever, but he's going to be able to tank these for a while. And the Mence will continue to suffer from its burn while this is all happening. But yeah, Tricking has just stayed in and kept clicking Dragon Claw here. See if he goes for Morning Sun now, or if T-Tar comes in and makes sand. It could be a good Will-O-Wisp opportunity again. And he does go for Morning Sun, but it is the world's worst recover when sand is going on. Restores just 25%, but follows it up with a Will-O-Wisp anyway. And Tara's going to insult to injury, miss Rock Slide. That would have killed through the burn between Stab and the 4X weakness, but he's going to miss the Rock Slide after getting burned. Caloom looks like he's in a very good place in this game. I'm not ready to call it done when we haven't seen the last poke yet for Tricking. It's got to be a Rock Resist, though. If it is just Swampert, that's probably not good enough. Maybe something like a Gilligros could get it done here. But I feel like Caloom is significantly ahead right now. He's got low pokes and status pokes all over on the other side. Skarm basically dead. Salamence half dead and burned. Physical T-Tower burned. It's looking like a one-sided beating with Caloom very much in the driver's seat in this game one. Suicune has not been the reason for that, though. The Moltres has been the most effective weapon for Caloom. Seemingly a mon that Tricking's team has very little answer to. Psychic, 17%. Maybe with a crit there, plus the sand, he could get him, but no such luck. Back to Doll, maybe thinking there's another Psychic coming. It is Hidden Power, presumably Fire instead there. Just 19% to Claydol. Now Giga Drain, that's a hell of a lot more, 54%. And Rapid Spin gets rid of the one spike that Tricking did finally manage to get down. Celebi healthy from getting a lot of health back from Giga Drain. And now going to go up to 100% almost as it kills Claydol there with a lethal Giga Drain. So it is, air quotes, Tricking in the lead right now. But I think he's actually miles behind despite what just happened. And here comes T-Tar. Comes into Flamethrower. 17% is whatever, but it's still burned from before, and it almost certainly does not have Pursuit here to punish the Moltres. And out it goes. Here's Jirachi thinking there might be Rock Slide. There is not. There is Zapdos instead. Rachi, we know, has Ice Punch from earlier. T-Bolt and Para. A little bit of luck that Tricking needs, but he doesn't get the full Para. So he does have to eat an Ice Punch. It's going to be 43%. Rachi, nevertheless, should die here to a follow-up Thunderbolt. And Caloom not going to let it happen. He's going to switch to the Porygon 2. And he's going to trace Pressure here, which, if it goes really long, could matter, but very unlikely to come up in these circumstances. Last poke revealed. Rock Resist, as we discussed. It is Metagross. Maybe Agiligos can get this done. But a lot of things are going to have to happen for Tricking. I think despite being up a Mon, he is considerably behind right now. And here's the double back to Suicune, staring down a weakened, paralyzed Skarmory here, who he's never going to let reestablish spikes, while he doubles to Moltres. I guess Tricking, if he had the balls somehow to click spikes there, would have gotten a lair pending Para, but that's a hard play to make. Caloom has been on point with his doubles throughout the battle here, and the Sun there in the Tar's face is pretty good as well. He still has to get out of the way of the Rock Slide, but he managed to establish the Sun, and T-Tar has to switch out and back in to make the Sand happen again. Good sequencing. Caloom, like I said, has been making a lot of double switches and really on point with that part of his game in this Game 1. Leech Seed there with Moltres. PP could matter for Leech Seed. Moltres, as all the birds do, has Pressure. Doesn't come up as often on Moltres as the other two that are a little stally, but it could matter. So here's T-Tar again, still burned from before, down to about half health against the Suicune. And again, he gets Moltres in, and again, he's right. He has been on point getting Moltres in and maximizing the damage he does with that Mon. He's had so many good Moltres opportunities, and it's a Mon that Tricking's team just doesn't have an answer for. He has 3 flat-out fire weaknesses, and all the other Mons that aren't fire weak absolutely hate Will-O-Wisp. Moltres is a great poke in the matchup into Tricking's team, and Tricking's doing his best to maneuver around it, but between the fact that it's a difficult poke to begin with and that Caloom has been so on point with double switching it in, it's making it really tough. Tricking's putting up a good fight. This game is closer than it could be, but I still think Caloom is in not only favorable position, but considerably favorable position. There is a world, though, where the Agiligos, it would probably specifically have to be Agility plus Rock Slide so it could deal with the Moltres, but Agiligos could get it done here. Maybe if it gets raises before dealing with the Moltres, and then he just crits Moltres with Meteor Mash, that would be enough. Obviously, Earthquake wouldn't do it, and Boom wouldn't do it if it's your last Mon. So Tricking expands his, quote, lead here, but I still am skeptical that he wins this game. The Moltres is so difficult. Leech Seed misses as Sunny Day comes down. Eventually, one of these fodder pokes is going to have to go, whether it's the low burnt T-Tar or the low paralyzed Skarm. Somebody's got to go. And don't forget that the Salamence is also burnt and getting low. So Skarm going to be fodder? Sure. Finally, something bites it for Tricking. 5-4 now. And Zapdos comes in. Obviously a threat to Moltres. To be fair, Tricking has done a great job removing the 2 primary Zapdos counters in Celebi and Claydol. So now the Zapdos is a threat offensively. There's a T-Bolt. Opportunity there for a crit or a power, for example, would have been very strong against the P2. Now it's probably just a recover turn, and he takes the opportunity to get Toxic on it. And Caloom does not pull the trigger, understandably, on Ice Beam there, which would have taken the Zapdos down, but very risky had the Zapdos just attacked and left you in shambles. So 5-4 with Tricking, air quotes, in the lead. Celebi switching into Ice Beam at this point. Porygon could maybe remove that poison later by switching into the Celebi, tracing Natural Cure, and then switching out, but so far that's not what's happened. Leech Seed and Ice Beam respectively. Celebi low for a moment, but going to get a lot of it back. And P2 starting to get low between the Poison and the Leech Seed. The residual damage really does add up. Moltres comes into a Psychic there. Head tricking, crit the Moltres. All of a sudden this game looks very different, and I like Tricking's position. But the Moltres here survives. Flamethrowers, Celebi down. Got ourselves a 4-4. Zapdos comes in yet again. It's getting harder and harder to switch into. It's not Suicune. It's not Moltres. P2's at 50%. Or you could just outspeed it and get a critical hit. Gotta be a fast Moltres, maybe even timid. Crit very well may have mattered there, but Zapdos gets Flamethrower down, and now all of a sudden I believe we are simply done here. The Salamence is going to die sooner rather than later, and then the Moltres can clean it up. I think that was a game-winning crit at the right time for Caloom, and I think the crit mattered because I think the Zapdos survives a non-crit often or always, but the way that it played out, all he has to do is kill the Mence now, and it should be a Moltres cleanup. Sending in a Paralyzed Poke is dangerous, though. There is a world now where meta sets up on it, and all of a sudden, this is not the game that Caloom thought that it was. He goes for Wish, but what if he had just full parried there? This is still not guaranteed. Agiligros has more than 0 shot, and it is Agiligros. He's still going to need luck for sure. He's going to have to Meteor Mash immediately, get a raise, and get an EQ crit or something to that effect. He's going to go for EQ, actually, so he's going to play for running crits. He does get the first one. He's going to need another, and even then, he's going to need Rock Slide as his last move to kill the Moltres. Alright. Does this get it done? He avoids getting crit by the Suicune. Will this be enough? He's going to need Para on Rachi, or to not have Rock Slide. Tricking looking to pull this out, and Caloom is talking about how bad he is himself, not his opponent, in the chat. Obviously not happy that he's put himself in this position. He has an opportunity right there to get bailed out by a non-para, but Tricking gets the luck that he needs. And now he's dead either way. Now it doesn't matter if he has Rock Slide or not, because he just clicks Boom. Seems like a mega throw for Caloom. Feels like a game that Caloom, from the position that he was in, should have won the vast majority of the time. With it being Rock Slide rather than Explosion, that ironically actually gives him outs, because if he had gone for Rock Slide, which is 90%, rather than Explosion, which is 100, he could have in theory missed the Rock Slide and gotten killed. The Molt was probably too low, though. If the Salamence was faster, I guess it's so low in his burn. So yeah, I guess it really did come down to the last turn, because the last pokes for Tricking here, 8% burnt Tar and 7% burnt Mence. Neither one long for this world. And the Moltres was presumably faster than the Salamence, but I don't know. Either way, I'm quite surprised by this outcome, and seemingly so is Caloom. He makes comments like I said, holy shit, I'm bad, WTF, who invited me to this, in the comments. He, not happy with the way that he's playing this late game. Of note, you can't see it when we're doing replays here, but timer? What timer? Caloom basically didn't use it. It dipped down to 270 like once, 30 turns prior to this, but this was a clicker fest in real time. Neither player using timer, and even in the critical late game, Caloom would not slow down, and he had plenty of time to think about it, but he would not use his timer, and he butchers the crap out of this late game and gives the game 1 advantage to Tricking. Caloom's going to have to mentally bounce back from this and not go on tilt. This is clearly an opponent he's capable of beating. He could have just won this game here, but nothing you can do about it now. He didn't win. He's going to need 2 in a row, or he's going to start off his CI debut in the lower bracket. So here is game 2. Caloom and him still on the bottom. Cruciani, Tricking on the top. We have a Mence and a Zapdos respectively. Intimidate mildly relevant, because if he baton passes, the Intimidate's coming with him. But he's going to go for sub, which is interesting. He could still baton pass, and he would take the sub with him, but like I said, he takes the Intimidate with him as well. And he does baton pass. And it's going to be Heracross behind the sub. Obviously, T-Tar threatened by that. Weak to both Megahorn and Brick Break here. Out of the way we go. Here's Skarm. And it is straight Brick Break rather than something like Swords Dance behind the sub. We'll do a lefties check. Hera is gaining lefties. So no Endure, Salic Berry nonsense. And SD is immediately roared away. So Tricking kind of does that backwards. Had he SD'd before and then Brick Breaked, he would have done a lot more. But he goes for the Swords Dance, maybe thinking it would be a Spikes or a Protect turn. Caloom does what I think is the obvious play and just roared out immediately. And Tricking gets no value out of the Hera as it gets blown away. So now we've got a non-intimidated Zapdos behind a sub. Still no Doug. He's going to baton pass to Heracross against Bliss. Sub will be popped, but obviously the Heracross a threat to the Blissey here. Back to Skarm. Went well last time. Might as well do it again until Tricking shows that he has some kind of answer. He eats a 1/3 about Brick Break. And back to Zapdos. And he has the courage to spike up in his face. Good play for Caloom. Gets the spike down. TBD if Tricking, who's only shown 2 pokes, has the ability to remove that. Substitute yet again. Zapdos, the point guard, the enabler. Is it just back to Hera yet again? It's probably Ice Beam coming, so if he could BP to a steal here, that would be very helpful. That is not a steal at all. It's something weak to Ice Beam. Had he BP'd to like Meta there, for example, the sub actually could have survived the Ice Beam damage. But double fighter for Tricking, reminiscent or maybe exactly the H-Clat team from last year. Last year's Grand Finals, in fact. Spore comes down, Skarm taking a nap, and it's time to focus. That's going to connect on Salamence, the lead poke. Not a surprise to him that he has that, of course. And that is going to be both resisted and intimidated, but it's still going to do 37% because Breloom really does hit that hard with Stab Focus Punch. Fire Blast intended at Breloom there. Hits T-Tar for much less damage, 19%. T-Tar not gaining lefties. Could be a Lumtar. A little bit of switcheroony action going on. We end up with T-Tar now for Caluminum against the lead Zapdos. Focus Punch. And he knows it's coming, so who's going to eat it? Wow, his best switch to a Focus Punch that he knows is coming is Heracross. That doesn't seem super sustainable. He does resist it, but he takes 30% and has to step on the spike. He over-predicts Rock Slide, but he gets a crit only to be flamethrowered back. And the first knockout of this game goes to Caloom on the bottom. Here's the Breloom follow-up. It's shown Focus Punch and Spore. Does he also have Brick Breaker Sky Uppercut here? He's representing that he does. And good thing Caloom believed him. He would have lost his tower instantly there. Instead, Sky Uppercut is going to connect with Claydol, 24% via the resistance. And interesting that Tricking actually did have a Steel Poke there to switch into the Ice Beam earlier. I certainly, if he had that, would have switched meta into the obvious Ice Beam and would have survived that Ice Beam. So perhaps a boo-boo there for Tricking. Hard to say. Hindsight 2020. I'm sure he had his reasons. I personally would have gone to meta there, but it's not what happened, so let's continue. He booms. It connects with the doll. We end up in a 4-5 situation. Tricking up a game, so if he drops this one, we will go to a game 3. Ice Beam happening on T-Tar there. Still no lefties. Probably Lumberry. Here comes Milotic. And we're going to crunch. Fair enough. 54% and a crit. Shouldn't be a huge deal. Should be able to recover through this. Even HP Grass wouldn't be that exciting. But seemingly doesn't have that. Just has crunch again. Non-crit, non-spec drop crunches are not exciting. 27%. Caloom has seen enough. Just going to click Surf. T-Tar down. And the Caloom lead grows. 5-3 with an unrevealed in the back for Tricking, but perhaps Caloom is familiar with this team from previous years, last year specifically, and he may know what the last poke is, but he's not going to show it here. Here comes the Loom. Skarm is still asleep. So yeah, Spore not an option. It's a Focus Punch Sky Uppercut mind game here. Blissey scared, as I understand. And Focus Punch there is going to connect with Salamence, who cannot take another one. But for now, the threat is averted. It is faster than Loom. And he's going to go for a Mach Punch. He's going to try to do something on the way out. So he's going to knock the Mence very, very low, but not low enough to where Sand can kill it. And he's going to die to the Dragon Claw. So tricking down to Unrevealed last and Zapdos only against 5 for Caloom as Blissey reappears. Thunderbolt, 20%. Not going to get it done against Bliss. I'm hoping and thinking that Caloom knows what the last is here and can play accordingly. Soft Boiled to be uber safe. Caloom taking no chances here. There's T-Bolt. And Bliss is going to begin CMing up. Why not? Doesn't feel threatened by this Zapdos at all. Might as well use it to set up. T-Bolt again. And a para that might deter her a little bit. But there is Soft Boiled. We'll see if she's worried about the paralysis or not. There are 2 electric weeks in the back as far as switching is concerned. And the Mence would obviously die from this health to a Thunderbolt. But Caloom has seen enough. No more setting up, no more grinding. Just going to kill you with Ice Beam. What's your last? It is Salamence for tricking. Ideal set here being DD rather than mixed. And it is DD. Gonna have to hope for full paras and or chokes. Gets neither one. Ice Beam happens through the para. With +1, it is always going to kill him there. And Caloom takes this one pretty handily, 5-0. And is going to send us to a Game 3. Had Caloom not choked the first game, it would be a 2-0 over tricking, but now he's going to have to win a third game, which is easier said than done. Game 3 will determine the winner of this series, and I want to note that even though this game was much shorter than the first game, again, looking for timer, it wasn't used. So in real time, these guys must have been clicking like crazy. The only use of timer in this entire game was on turn 1, where Caloom let it fall 1 level. After that, all clicking all the time. It's the only way to play Mons. Just click buttons. Alright, Game 3, Caloom and Tricking, Round 1 of CI7. Who's going to start their tour off the right way in the upper bracket, and who is going to take the long, hard road to the late stages by immediately dropping to the lower bracket and having to play every single week until they are eliminated. One more time, Caloom and Tricking. Switching those sides for continuity. Caloom is on the bottom, Tricking is on the top. Skarm lead from both players in this case. And neither one has taunt. They are both going to just spike up. But we are not going to get 3 layers each. It's going to be an immediate switch. It's Moltres again that served Caloom well in Game 1. And obviously, Skarm is not happy to see that guy. Or girl. It's genderless. I envision Moltres as a guy. I'm open either way. Anyhow, 2 layers to 1. More spikes under the team of Caloom. Trio blown out with Roar. That might make Moltres switch out of the fear of Rock Slide. And indeed, out of the way it goes. 2 layers each. 3 layers to 2. Shall we get a 3rd layer? We shall. And in comes the spinner immediately. Does it respect the Toxic possibility? Does just go for Rapid Spin. Not worried about a Ghost. Seemingly not worried about Toxic. Just wants the spikes gone. Your wish is my command. Toxic it is. Rapid Spin it is. Poison Claydol, no more spikes. The question now, does it have Refresh? Alternatively, does the Blissey have Aromatherapy / Heal Bell? All valid questions in this moment, but the spikes advantage 3-1 at this moment for Tricking. Caloom gets a layer down, and in comes the doll again. Into Blissey, who has to step on the spikes. Not sure if Doll's going to stay in here and spin and or refresh. It might have to eat an Ice Beam to do so. And Tricking pulls it back, which I think is the right play. You don't want to get too much damage on your Claydol early on. That is not going to be sustainable. Instead, Tricking goes to his own Bliss. We end up Nurse on Nurse here. And they fling Toxic and Seismic Toss at each other, respectively. Toxic in this matchup obviously being the more relevant move. Ice Beam, perhaps in case the Doll or the Gar were to switch in there. They didn't. And Soft Boiled comes down. Sandless game so far, so everything with lefties actually as lefties for now. And here comes Skarm. Ice Beam and a freeze. That was nice for Caloom. Gets the 10% freeze there on the Skarmory. Here comes Bliss. Would be a wonderful time to click Heal Bell or Aromatherapy if she has those things. She's got multiple pokes that she would be nursing to health if she had the ability to do so. Toxic? Do we get a 3-for-1 Bell? No. Just a Seismic Toss, but Aroma or Bell there would have gotten rid of 3 statuses. Talk about bang for your buck. Negate 3 turns with 1 turn, baby! But that is not the way it played out. We are getting a Soft Boiled off. The still Poison Bliss suffering from S-tosses and poison. Skarm, still frozen, cold as ice, willing to sacrifice our spikes. For those of you who don't know Foreigner, which is probably most of you because you're all like 12, I'm going to see them in concert next month. Anyhow, there is Toxic missing. The Skarm does thaw, so that's good news if you're a Tricking fan. It has taken a bit of chip damage, though. Seismic Toss got him for 29%. And Skarm is now going to lefties up via Protect up to 45. Still in the yellow. Toxic for a clock on Bliss, sure. And Seismic Toss going to knock Skarm briefly into the red, but it'll lefties back into the yellow. Pretty low at 21%, though. Skarm on Skarm. And a whiffed Protect, but Tricking's fine with that. He just needs lefties on his Skarm any way he can get them. And he's going to go for Drill Peck, thinking that it would actually just be a spike turn from Caloom, but instead he just immediately roars him. Perhaps he thought Claydol was going to come in, but a good outcome for Caloom getting chip on Dugtrio, who obviously has no way other than maybe Wish to restore any health that it loses, and it also controls the tempo for Caloom. So 3 layers to 2 on spikes yet again. Toxic still ticking. No sign of Refresh or Heal Bell for Tricking. So the Toxic seemingly is there to stay. That would have been an obvious Refresh turn if he had the option there. He seemingly really truly does not. And there is Rapid Spin. It is probably Explosion Doll since it is paired with that Dugtrio in the back. In fact, it would not surprise me if the Gengar also had Explosion for Tricking. Again, for the synergy of booming on something and then following up with Dugtrio. So 3 layers to 3 on spikes as the Rapid Spin attempt from Tricking got blocked a couple turns ago via the previously unrevealed Gengar for Caloom. Man, I like Caloom's position in this game as well, even though Tricking is the more experienced CI player and overall the more experienced Pokemon player, and the guy that you in the predictions thought would win this match. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I've liked Caloom in all 3 games. Now, he choked the Game 1 endgame pretty bad, and this one's not over either, but I don't know. Caloom's position just seems better in most of these games from where I sit. He gets T-Tar in on both Spikes and Will-O-Wisp. That's not so hot. It must be Pursuit-Tar, or there's no way that he would do this, right? And indeed, it is Pursuit-Tar. Doesn't kill him, but leaves him at just 5% in a game with Sand, so Gar going to have a tough time later. Nevertheless, Dugtrio is going to kill him here. So the first lead on paper is again going to go to Tricking. 6-5 game here on turn 36, about to be 37. 3 layers of spikes for both. Gengar is there to try to block for Caloom. And we end up Skarm on Skarm. Immediately roared away. And here is the Doll yet again. So the mind game's going to begin. It's still Poison. Is there going to be Protect? Is there going to be Gengar? Is he just going to roar me? He goes for just Protect on the first turn. Just trying to get a little more toxic damage on the Doll. Protect coming down for Tricking. Taking Skarm lefties anywhere he can get them. Drill Peck, thinking he's going to be roared away by a faster Skarm. And indeed, last poke now shown for Tricking. It is Suicune, again, known team. Tricking not a builder in this tier, Very possible that Caloom knew that this team was coming or that the last poke was Suicune well before this point. But regardless, we end up with Moltres on Suicune. Obviously, Coon advantaged in this matchup. Here comes Bliss. And there is CM coming down. So tricking Uppamon and setting up with the Suicune here. Toxic puts a clock on it. And there is Roar. So I knew already that it wasn't Crocoon, but if you guys didn't know, now you know. Boring old CM, Rest, Roar, and Surf Suicune. Gonna go for the rest. Probably gonna get blown away. Out of here it goes. Bringing out the 5% Gengar for just a brief cameo. Cannot survive the sandstorm. 5-5 game. Here's Doll again. Toxic, yup. And Rapid Spin, but the move there really doesn't matter because it was always going to be protected against. Now the Mind Game. Is it Gar on Psychic? Or is it Gar on Spin? It is Gar on Spin. Caloom wins the Mind Game turn. Spin yet again is blocked, and Claydol continues to suffer from poison. Now Giga Drain and a critical hit, insult to injury. Maybe Tricking can get a critical hit back. He doesn't, and it would have killed the Gar for sure. Claydol just 2% and poison now. Not a good sign if you are a Tricking fan. And Giga Drain there, hey, why not? Let's get some health back. 4% back for Gengar. Hey, it all adds up. Here's Taunt trying to prevent Soft Boiled. Will Tricking oblige? Nope, he did in fact go for Soft Boiled. Ice Beam a hard play to make that. I don't blame him for trying the Soft Boiled. Is he going to go for it now? Ooh, I don't know about all that. Alright, Will-O-Wisp and Ice Beam respectively. Bliss getting precariously low, especially if Gar taunts again or just booms. Giga Drain. Interesting. I might have taunted again there. But hard play to make. Tricking not able to pull the trigger on Soft Boil, but he does get a freeze, which might bail him out of this. If Gengar stays frozen, an emergency Soft Boiled could happen here. And that's exactly what happens. Gar does not thaw, and Soft Boiled bails Tricking out of a crucially precarious situation where the Bliss otherwise would have died if not for that freeze. Bailed out by the RN Jesus. This game is now close once again. Blissey going down there would have been bad news bears, but Blissey now is largely healthy, whereas the Gengar is very low and frozen. Perhaps Caloom has lost his advantage here, and Tricking has turned this game around. Bliss on Bliss, but Burn does not work like the Toxic Poison. It does not get progressively worse. The damage from the burn is just the damage from the burn. It doesn't increase, it doesn't change. Blissey can withstand that. We'll see what health she wants to be at when she switches. Goes for Sing here. And her song is so boring that Skarm goes straight to sleep. Got ourselves a 5-5 with the unrevealed for Caloom. Still not shown, but gonna be a rock resist, so it's probably just good old Swampert in the back. And Bliss has stayed in for Tricking for a long time. Here comes Molt. And finally, out goes the Bliss. Skarmory comes in. Moltres obviously with the advantage in that matchup, but Skarm will probably at least protect first before it goes away. And Skarm manages to get itself back into the green via a dedicated effort to gain lefties back. I guess he's still at 50 and yellow. A smidge away from the green. Close enough. Flamethrower coming on Bliss, not a big deal. She did have to step on those spikes though. Should be able to Soft Boiled here without too much issue. And she does. And Moltres actually has Roar as well. That's going to prompt out our friend Suicune, which Caloom should know, and does know, based on the information shown. Does not have Sleep Talk, so he should feel comfortable staying in and attacking here. And that's what he's going to do. HP Grass, meaningful chip. Suicune is not about to live another HP Grass plus the sand. And out it goes. This is going to be an issue on a couple of different levels. I think Caloom is almost certainly going to win this game, The Suicune is at just 39%. It has to step on all 3 layers of spikes when it comes in. Claydol, I don't think, is ever getting a rapid spin off. 2% in Toxic. Caloom would give up the Gar outright before letting the doll ever spin, so those spikes aren't going anywhere, and I think the chip damage in the spikes is just too much. I think the Caloom is going to clean this up because I don't think the Coon is ever going to be able to get a rest off. I don't think the doll is ever going to be able to get a spin off. If tricking is somehow to win this game, it's going to be Scarm and Bliss doing the dirty work. Not exactly sweepers, but those are the options that he has at this moment. Here's a play for Caloom, trying to get his Gengar to thaw. He sneaks it in here on a Toxic. Still frozen. And Toxic again. As an aside, I feel like Sunny Day should either accelerate or guarantee thawing, just as a mechanical note. But that is not the way that it works in Gen 3. Take note, Game Freak. But for now, Drill Peck takes out Gar. So it leaves us in a 4-5 with Caloom, again, air quotes, behind. But I think Caloom is actually winning, given the current game state. Feels very much like what I said in Game 1, and I still believe that to be true. Though Caloom did not end up winning Game 1. So who knows? Bliss comes into Flamethrower. I don't know about all that. It can't live another Flamethrower. What are we going for there? A Bliss down, just like that, for tricking. Is that the concession? No, he's going to play it out. 1% Dugtrio now. Here comes Swampert, not afraid. EQ, maybe. Yep, good prediction. Doing what he's got to do to try to get in this. And Earthquake takes out Swampert, so tricking, keeping it interesting. He takes the 4-3 lead on paper, but his stuff is so beat up. Dugtrio will die next time it comes in. Claydol's not going anywhere at 2% and poisoned. Suicune can definitely not survive even without sand. And that's it. Tricking going to concede. That's not premature whatsoever. Scarm would die to Flamethrower. Suicune would die to Spikes plus HP Grass. And Claydol at just 2% and poisoned. Obviously not going to survive either. The writing was on the wall and the Moltres was going to clean it up. And there is yet another on-paper underdog victory. The predictions have meant nothing in round 1. It is Caloom, the kinda sorta play-ins player, in his first CI, after choking Game 1 away, running it back and getting the next 2 against Tricking and putting himself in the upper bracket. Tricking, the Italian fairy gen extraordinaire, gonna be in the lower bracket in CI7. I hope you guys appreciate that I did this on slow. I normally narrate on fast or hyper fast, and sometimes you guys complain that it's too fast. I really wish there were a happy medium, because it feels like normal can be too fast and slow is too slow. Wish there were an in-between speed, but regardless of that, live narration, best narration, I didn't manage to catch it live, so this is doing it on slow, the best way that I know how to reconcile that. I hope you enjoyed it. Decent set, longer set when done on slow speed, and another underdog victory, or at least on paper underdog victory. It has been a wet and wild CALLOUS Invitational 7 round 1. A lot of upsets and a shark-infested lower bracket. There is a lot more of this round and of this tournament still to come, so please do stay tuned to my YouTube channel. Please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel if you've not done so already. Click the like button if you liked it. That's why it's the like button. And I will see you guys in the next video.